I took a train to visit my mom. It was a long ride, just me and the window, watching the world slip by. There is something about a train that feels almost magical, like you're floating in this quiet in-between. Not quite where you started, not yet where you're going. But this journey was never about the destination. It was about exploring my own mind. I've always loved the way a train moves. There is this weightlessness, a soft hum that lulls you into a kind of a dream. For a few hours, I am unplugged. No phone buzzing, no to-do list nagging, just me, my thoughts, and this strange sense of freedom. And as I sat there, watching the landscape blur, I started thinking about where I'd been. Visiting my mom meant going back to where I grew up, the place where I first learned to dream, to stumble, to try again. I was just a boy then, full of wild hopes and fearless plans. Growing into a man, I've carried these dreams, but they've been shaped by falls, doubts, and quiet lessons. It's humbling, to chase the invisible threads that pulled me to this moment. When you're on a train for hours, time slows down. You can't rush it. You just sit with yourself. And I have found myself wondering how I got here. Not just to this train, but to this point in my life. I used to think if I followed the rules, worked hard, did what I was supposed to do, everything would fall into place. I'd end up somewhere that made sense. But life doesn't work like that, does it? I tried to do everything right, and still, I've had moments where I felt completely lost. I remember being a kid, lying in the grass, staring at the sky, imagining who I'd become. I had all these big ideas, but I never pictured how messy the path would be. It's like I was handed a map, but the roads kept shifting. Looking back, I'm starting to see that maybe the detours, the wrong turns, were the point. They brought me here, to this train, to this moment of asking questions I didn't even know I had. It's strange to think how much of life happens without us noticing. Those quiet choices that change everything. And yet, sitting here, I'm starting to wonder, maybe getting lost was the first step to finally come home to myself. This trip was a break from my day job. I took a few days off, which felt like stealing a little piece of my life back. Work has always been this puzzle I can't quite solve. We work to live, but sometimes it feels like we live to work. I don't know if I'm the only one who finds that exhausting. Like, why have we all just agreed to this paradox? But work is just one piece of it. The bigger question, the one that keeps me up at night, is what's this all for? Why are we here? I know it sounds heavy, but I can't stop asking. Most people seem okay with not digging into those questions. and sometimes I envy that. But for me, asking feels like a way of staying honest with myself, even if the answers are out of reach. I've had moments where everything felt like a paradox, and I'm torn between wanting to do something and not knowing what that something is. I have this theory about why so many of us feel confused. In nature, every creature has a clear purpose: find food, find shelter, survive. It's simple. But in our world, we've traded our survival for endless choices, constant noise, and ads telling us who we should be. We're not fighting to stay alive every day, so we're left with this space. Space to question, to wonder, to feel lost. Sometimes that space feels like a gift. Other times, it's overwhelming. There are days when I'm just tired of it all. The pressure, the opinions, the shiny lies we're fed about what a good life looks like. But there are moments when I feel this spark, this quiet urge to create something meaningful, to live in a way that's real. And if I'm honest, I don't always know what that looks like. I don't have a 5-year plan or a clear picture of what I'm chasing. And maybe that's okay. Maybe life isn't about having all the answers, but about staying open enough to keep asking the right questions. As the train kept moving, I started to wonder, what if the point isn't to have all the answers? What if it's about learning to live with the questions, but choosing to move forward anyway? Rumi once said, "The quieter you become, the more you are able to hear." And maybe that's it. In a world so loud, so full of half-truths and distractions, I want to build a life that's clear. Not perfect, not figured out, but intentional. A life where I'm honest with myself, even when it's hard. That's what I'm chasing. Mental clarity. A way of living that cuts through the noise. It's not about escaping the world's chaos, because that's always going to be there, but about carving out a small space where I can breathe, a space where I can be kind to myself, ask the big questions, and not feel pressured to have it all sorted out. A space where I can be honest in a world that often feels built on lies. Because life is hard enough without the extra layers. And if I'm honest, my life feels a little like a movie sometimes. I know how it ends, eventually, but I'm still curious to see how the story unfolds. And maybe, for now, that's enough. None of us have the full map, but maybe that's okay, as long as we keep walking with our eyes open.
Do żółtek dodaj 2 łyżki majonezu.